Now I'm going to discuss with you about the semi-conservative nature of DNA replication. Now this is given in your molecular biology syllabus. Now normally semi-conservative nature of DNA means that DNA, when it replicates, when it makes a copy of daughter DNA strand, it a daughter DNA molecule, it will contain one of the strand of your parental DNA and one of the strand of daughter DNA. So as given in these notes, there was some evidence to prove that DNA is replicated in semi-conservative manner. So let us see what is given in these notes. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick built their model for the structure of DNA. The principal features which are still accepted today. We all know the Watson-Crick model, which is a famous model that DNA is a double helical structure, looks like a step ladder model where the rungs of the ladder are your the main support of the ladder is your sugar phosphate backbone, and the rungs of the ladder is your nitrogenous base. So DNA consists of two strands which are complementary with each other. So the base sequence that are found within the DNA strands are complementary with each other. Like cytosine base in one strand will be pairing with the guanine base in the opposite strand by 3 hydrogen bonds, and adenine base in one strand will always try to base pair with the thymine base in the other strand by 2 hydrogen bonds. So this was all about that we have studied. But this complementary nature of the two strands suggested the scientist to build a model for DNA replication. Now, what is DNA replication? We will go into depth in later videos, the processes, the enzymes involved in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. DNA replication is a process where DNA makes a copy of daughter DNA molecules. So scientists are trying to think that in what way the parental DNA molecules used as a template to build a new model, new DNA molecule. So they proposed, the Watson and Crick proposed, and also other scientists have debated also, that the old strands serves as templates to make a new complementary strand. Watson and Crick have strongly suggested that these old strands, the parental strands, they will be used as template to make a new complementary DNA strand for the formation of new daughter DNA molecule. Now the two resulting double helices will contain one new and one old strands. So this is what Watson and Crick have suggested, that if this is the model of DNA as shown in green in simple way, after replication it will be look like this, where the red line indicates the newly formed daughter DNA strand and the old strand. This nature of DNA replication is known as semi-conservative nature of DNA replication. But scientists have debated that, they have said that DNA can replicate in other ways also. What are the other ways? The other ways is, so there are other models to consider as well. The old DNA molecule can be preserved and entirely a new DNA molecule could be produced from it, just like a Xerox machine, where the old copy, the old model, the old DNA molecule is preserved and a new, entirely new DNA molecule could be produced from it. Now this type of nature of replication is called conservative nature of DNA replication. As you can see, the green one is your parental DNA molecule. After replication, you can see that the parental, the old DNA molecule is preserving, it is preserved, and entirely a new DNA molecule is produced from that old DNA. So scientists have also proposed this model. Okay, in another model, some more other scientists have proposed that the result of replication could be the molecules with old and new interspersed with one another along each strand. So it will be look like this. This is known as dispersive mode of replication. So scientists have also proposed that this type of replication can also occur where the during the replication the parental DNA molecule, obviously they will be used as template, but during the formation of two new daughter DNA molecules, they will have one old some parts of old and new DNA which are interspersed with one another along each strand. So it will be look like this. Okay, now these three types of models that they have proposed, Watson and Crick strongly propose this semi-conservative mode of DNA replication. That in semi-conservative mode of replication, the two daughter DNA strands, the two daughter DNA molecules which will be produced from the parental DNA, that two daughter DNA molecules will have one new strand and one old strand, but that means one parental strand. So, although Watson and Crick have proposed the model of semi-conservative mode of replication, that DNA always replicate in a semi-conservative manner, that it will have one parental strand, just like this. If I draw the diagram, I have already shown you the diagram, but I try to draw so that you can able to imagine. So this is the normal parental strand of parental parent DNA. Now, when the DNA molecule is replicated, the newly formed DNA molecule will have this parental strand and it will contain a newly synthesized DNA strand, the red one. Okay, just like this. So this is a semi-conservative mode of replication. So although this Watson and Crick have proposed this model of semi-conservative replication, there was no evidence to prove this model of DNA replication naturally. So at that time, there was no such experiments to prove that DNA always replicate in a semi-conservative manner. So what to do? So there was no problem after some time, because to prove the semi-conservative nature of DNA replication, two more scientists have done these experiments to made possible. The name of the scientists is Matthew Meselson and Franklin Stahl. They have designed an experiment to test the Watson Crick model of replication. How do they do that? How they do this semi-conservative nature the experiment that DNA always replicate in semi-conservative manner? The main objective of Meselson and Stahl experiment was to devise a strategy to distinguish between the old DNA and newly synthesized DNA. So, the main aim of Matthew Meselson and Franklin Stahl experiment was to differentiate, to distinguish between the parental DNA strand, that means the old DNA strand, and the newly synthesized DNA strand. And how would they do that? So they, at that time, there was a big contribution of radioactivity was being going on, and the isotopes that were used. So they have used that strategy. So they have distinguished the two strands, the old strands, that is the parental strand, and the newly synthesized strand. They have distinguished by labeling that strands with isotopes of nitrogen. As you know, DNA is made up of nitrogenous base also. So they use this trick that we can able to distinguish the old strand and new strand by labeling the strands with isotopes of nitrogen. What they do, they use the bacterium E. coli as a source organism to label their DNA. So they grow E. coli bacteria in the presence of either a heavy isotope of nitrogen N15 or ordinary light isotope of nitrogen N15 in the culture medium. So they have used two culture medium. They use two culture medium you know, if you have learned in microbiology class, the simple way to grow the E. coli bacteria is the medium that we prepare consist of lactose, consist of agar, some nitrogen source is there, and that nitrogen source here we will use heavy isotope of nitrogen N15 in the form of ammonium chloride and light form of nitrogen N14. Okay, so in one culture medium we use N15 heavy isotope of nitrogen, and in another medium we use light isotope of nitrogen and grow the E. coli cultures separately on these two flasks. Now, after many generations, when the E. coli cultures were grown in these flasks, the DNA in the bacteria will either contain heavy or light form of nitrogen, but not the both. So you know the generation time. The generation time of E. coli bacteria is what? The generation time of E. coli bacteria is 20 minutes. If you have learnt in your microbiology class, generation time of E. coli bacteria is 20 minutes. That means after 20 minutes, E. coli bacteria will become double. They will undergo the binary fission technique. They don't undergo cell division because they are prokaryotic cells, so they undergo binary fission technique to form two daughter cells, and in the same way just then after 20 minutes they form four cells. So the generation time is 2 to the power n. So every 20 minutes this E. coli bacteria will grow. So after growing this E. coli bacteria for many generations, for 1 day or 1.5 day, the DNA in the bacteria either contain the heavy isotope of nitrogen or light form of nitrogen. So as they use the medium source, the E. coli bacteria get the nutrient from their respective medium, and in the respective medium we have used in one of the flask, in one of the culture medium we have used heavy isotope of nitrogen. So ultimately the DNA constituent of that E. coli bacteria will take that heavy nitrogen as their sole nitrogen source. So the DNA is labeled in heavy or light form of nitrogen. Okay, so you can see the E. coli bacteria that I have shown in the diagram. In it was actually blue in color, but it becomes black now. So N15, you can see label with N15, their DNA all gets labeled with heavy isotopes of nitrogen. Even the nitrogenous base like thymine, here you can see they are all nitrogen content in the thymine becomes labeled with heavy nitrogen, whereas in the light form of nitrogen, their thymine, all the nitrogenous base, the nitrogen is labeled with light nitrogen source. So in this example you can see the nitrogen atoms in this thymine base are labeled with heavy isotopes of nitrogen or light forms of nitrogen. So this is the main trick that Messelson and Stahl do. They have distinguished the heavy form of they have distinguished the E. coli culture's DNA by culturing them on separate media. In one media they have used heavy form of nitrogen, heavy isotope of nitrogen N15. In another culture media they have used light form of nitrogen N14. Now what did they do? The scientists now took the samples of each bacterial culture. Okay, the scientists have taken the samples of each bacterial culture, and then they processed the bacteria to release the DNA into the solution. Now this is a different, this is a broad technique, that isolation of DNA from the bacterial sample. Although there are simple techniques also. So they have processed the bacteria so that the DNA content in the bacteria can comes out. We can isolate the bacteria from that culture, and then equal volumes of the DNA solution were mixed. Both the isolated bacteria from the N15 culture medium and the isolated DNA from the bacterial culture of N14 medium were allowed to mix, and then we add a concentrated salt solution called cesium chloride. So it looks like haphazardly, one after another, randomly I have said. Let us move to the picture, then you can able to understand. So what we have done, we have grown the E. coli bacteria separately on N15 medium and on N14 medium. Okay, the N14 has not been shown. So this is your N14. This one is your N14 medium. Okay, light nitrogen source. Then we have isolated the samples and we try to isolate the DNA from that culture. Okay, so that is a different topic where we use we use chloroform, phenol, isopropyl alcohol, isoamyl alcohol in order to isolate the DNA from the bacterial samples from the separate cultures. And then we mix that DNA cultures. Equal volumes of DNA solution are allowed to mix in a culture tube, and then this after equal volumes of DNA solution were mixed together in this culture tube, then we add a concentrated solution of cesium chloride. The formula of cesium chloride is CaCl. Why we add the cesium chloride solution? Because the density of cesium chloride solution is similar to DNA, and the density is 1.71 gram per cubic centimeter, which is the same density of DNA. Okay, now what we will do, we have isolated the DNA from the respective bacterial sample labeled with heavy isotopes of nitrogen and one with light isotopes of nitrogen. Then we mix equal volumes of DNA solution, we're allowed to mix, and then we will add concentrated solution of cesium chloride whose density is similar with the DNA, that is 1.71 gram per centimeter cube. Now what we will do, the tube is now placed in an ultra centrifuge machine which are capable of high speed centrifugation. So now this tube is allowed to put in a centrifuge machine and allowed for high speed centrifugation. Now this high speed centrifugation will be done 140,000 times the force of gravity for about 20 hours. Such a huge speed, such a huge centrifugation will be done for 20 hours. Now, after centrifugation at this high speed, as you can see above in the picture, at this high speed, the cesium ion have a tendency to settlement towards the bottom. So this high speed ultra centrifugation that is being occurring at 140,000 times the force of gravity for about 20 minutes. At this high speed, the cesium ions within the tube, the cesium ions have a tendency to to settlement towards the bottom. So it settles towards the bottom. Okay, and form a higher density on this part, and the which are lower of density, they will be settled on the upper part. And you can see here, sorry, and you can see here that the other substance, that is the DNA sample which has been obtained from the N15 source and the DNA sample obtained from the N14 source, they switch to the positions within the tube respectively on their own density. Uh, so what was the density? According to that density, they have placed their positions. So you can see the N14, the N15 medium, they are located in a suitable position within the culture, within the tube after centrifugation. Obviously it is heavier than the light isotope of nitrogen, or DNA, the DNA band which is labeled with light isotope of nitrogen, so they settle upward. So in this way we can separate the DNA strands according to what they are labeled. So using this technique, they are now doing the experiment. They have now able to identify that these are the parental strands. Now, when newly synthesized DNA strands will be doing, they will use a separate way to distinguish them. Okay, how? Let us see. So up to this much, I think you have all understood. So you can see that after centrifugation, the cesium chloride settle to the bottom, while the other substance like the DNA that is taken from the N15 medium and from the N14 medium, they move to the locations that matches with their density, because as N15 is heavier, so it settles to the bottom. N14 is lighter, so it settles to the top. Okay, it is written here DNA bands with light isotope of nitrogen N14, and in the ground you can see DNA bands with heavy isotope of nitrogen N15. So scientists now using this trick to show the mode of nature of DNA replication. So what they have done, let us see. Now, with this technique of separating the heavy and light DNA established, the scientists tested the hypothesis of semi-conservative nature of replication, because Messelson and Stahl were keen to do the experiments based on Watson and Crick model, because Watson and Crick model have strongly suggested that DNA replication occur in a semi-conservative nature. So, how the semi-conservative nature of DNA replication can be proved here? So what they do, so this was all about the arrangement that they have grown for many generations in the N15 medium, the E. coli culture, and they grow the E. coli bacterial culture in on N14 medium. Then after several generations, their DNA content, obviously they will be labeled with heavy nitrogen and light nitrogen respectively in the culture tubes. Then they isolate the DNA culture samples, they isolate the DNA from the bacterial culture, then they mix the tubes, and then we add the cesium chloride whose density is quite similar with the DNA, and then they are subjected to high density centrifugation of 140,000 times the gravity for 20 hours. During that time, you can see that the cesium chloride settles to the bottom, while the the DNA the DNA move to the respective positions according to their density. The heavier isotope of the DNA, which was labeled with heavier isotope of nitrogen, they settle to the little bit bottom because they are heavier, and the light isotopes of nitrogen DNA, they settle to the above. So using this arrangement, they use that technique to show the provement of semi-conservative nature of DNA replication. So what they do, first they grow the E. coli for 14 generations in a medium containing ammonium chloride in the form of N15. So this is the heavier form of nitrogen, you can see in the form of ammonium chloride, NH4Cl. So first what they do, they grow the E. coli, Escherichia coli, for 14 generations in a medium that contain heavy isotope of nitrogen in the form of ammonium chloride. Okay, good thing. So 14 generation means 14 into 20, you get the minutes. Okay, you get the minutes. That means 240 minutes they grow. After that, what they do, now, growing the bacteria for many generations ensure that all the DNA will be labeled with heavy form of nitrogen. Okay, so all the DNA now, obviously, for sure, they are labeled with heavy isotopes of nitrogen, because they take the nitrogen, heavy nitrogen, as their source for making their DNA, for making their nitrogenous base. Now, after 20 generations, after growing for 14 generations, now what they do, they first isolated the bacterial sample from it, processed, or you can say prepared to isolate the DNA, and add cesium chloride for centrifugation. So you can see here that they have taken the sample, isolated the bacterial sample from the medium from the E. coli culture medium, which was given as which was labeled with N15, and they isolate the sample, prepare the DNA, and add cesium chloride for centrifugation. Okay, and they named this as generation 0. You will see later on. On the other hand, at the same time, some of the bacteria from the N15 medium transferred to the N14 medium. So you can see clearly in this picture, at the same time, some of the bacteria which was growing on the N15 medium, they are transferred to the N14 medium and allowed to continue to grow. At each generation, they are monitored by taking the bacterial sample, by processing the DNA, by isolating the DNA, adding cesium chloride, and then observe by doing high density centrifugation and observe their respective DNA content, where it is located actually. So you can see here two things are occurring. First event, you can see in this picture that for 14 generations we are growing the E. coli bacteria culture in a medium having labeled with heavy isotope of nitrogen N15 in the form of ammonium chloride. Then what we do, then after the generations, after growing for several generations, now first we isolate the bacterial sample from the N15 culture medium, prepare the DNA, that means we isolate the DNA and add cesium chloride to make ready for centrifugation. At the same time, some of the bacterial culture which was growing on the N15 medium transferred to the medium having light isotope of nitrogen and allowed to continue to grow. And then what we do, at every 20 minutes, as 20 minutes is the generation time of E. coli, so at every 20 minutes from the medium, from the E. coli culture medium having level with light form of nitrogen, we take the sample and we monitor them. So that is the thing that is written here. So from this point onward, newly replicated DNA will be made from light form of nitrogen. As we have transferred this culture to the N14 medium, uh, after 20 minutes, each after 20 minutes, we will monitor and we will check by isolating the sample from that N14 medium, and we will the thing that we do, we isolate the DNA sample, we add cesium chloride, and we make them ready for the centrifugation process, and we check the density of the DNA. So from this point onward, the newly replicated DNA made from the light form of nitrogen. So the first sample is called as generation 0 because it was directly taken from the culture medium of N15 form of nitrogen. And after that, when the DNA sample was transferred from N15 medium to N14 medium, which is the light form of nitrogen source, the sample was taken for every 20 minutes because we know the generation time of E. coli is 20 minutes. So each after 20 minutes we isolate the sample and we name them as generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, generation 4, and so on. And we check them. We do the density gradient centrifugation and we check them. So the DNA samples was prepared for high density centrifugation now. Now Messelson and Stahl get their following results like this. So this is the result you can see. I have shown one by one, side by side. So what happened in generation 0? Obviously, in generation 0, all the DNA is in the heavy form because directly we have taken the DNA, we have isolated the DNA from the culture medium which was growing on N15 medium. Now, after generation 1, the DNA is neither heavy nor light but intermediate. Why does it occur? It occurs because I have said that the DNA sample was transferred from the N15 medium to the N14 medium. So some of the DNA, the bacterial cell that will contain the DNA label with heavy form of nitrogen, now they are placed on the medium containing light form of nitrogen. So during their generation, when they are trying to divide into two daughter cells, they will now take the content of the medium, the nutrients present in the medium, and they will also take the nutrients that having the light form of nitrogen. So the daughter cells, as they are semi-conservative, DNA occurs in semi-conservative nature. So the daughter cell that is prepared, they will having the newly formed strand purely made from the light form of nitrogen, while the parental strand is in heavy form of nitrogen. That's why we see a intermediate density in generation 1. So after generation 1, the DNA is neither heavy nor light, but of intermediate density. Next, after two generations, that means after 40 minutes, we take another sample. Here we have seen after 40 minutes means each 20 minutes makes one generation time of the E. coli bacteria. So after 40 minutes, when we take the second sample, it will be look like this after centrifugation. So in after two generations, half of the DNA was light labeled and half of the DNA was intermediate. There will be no heavier form because we are now culturing in a medium, E. coli culture in the medium having light form of nitrogen. So 50-50, half of the DNA are situated on the light portion of the density region of the tube, while half was in the intermediate region of the tube. After additional generations, you will see more and more DNA will be located in the light form and less will be located in the intermediate form. So if you see from this experiment, it proves from generation 0 to generation 2, it provides enough information to determine which model of DNA replication is correct. And we know the semi-conservative nature of DNA replication is correct, because if we refer to the figure in this way, it will look like this. Although there is more complicated figure in your books, you will see them in your Verma Agarwal book. They will given in a complicated way, but you can also draw in this way. So Messerson and Stoll makes with the semi-conservative nature of replication. You can see in generation 0, all the DNA were getting their nitrogen source from the heavy form of nitrogen, from the heavy isotope of nitrogen in the culture medium. That's why all of them are having the heavy DNA bands. But in generation 1, what we have seen, in generation 1, we have actually transferred the some of the bacterial culture in the N15 medium to the N14 medium. Then after 20 minutes, we observe them in the density gradient centrifugation. We will see that the DNA are neither in the heavy form, neither in the light form, but intermediate. It proves This intermediate form proves that DNA replication occur in a semi-conservative manner, because if they make another copy of DNA, if that copy of DNA contain only and only newly synthesized DNA, then it will be labeled in the light form. But here we see that all the DNA bands are in intermediate. It means that they are neither heavy, they are heavy. The DNA bands consist of heavy form of nitrogen as well as light form of nitrogen. So this proves that DNA, when DNA molecule makes a copy of a new DNA molecule, it will contain one parental strand and one newly synthesized strand. So similarly, in the generation 2, you can see that most part of the more of the DNA is in the light form and less DNA is in the intermediate form. Okay. Similar type of replication has been mentioned by J.H. Taylor and P. Woods in eukaryotes as well. This was in case of prokaryotes, but if someone asks you that how the semi-conservative nature of DNA replication explained in eukaryotic cells, so for that verification of semi-conservative replication of DNA in eukaryotic cells was provided in a series of experiments which was conducted by J. H. Taylor and P. Woods in 1967. What Taylor and Woods have done, they have grown the bean root tips known as Vicia faba. Vicia faba is a type of bean, and they have grown these Vicia faba root tip cells for one generation in a medium containing H3 thymidine, which is actually your tritated thymidine. Okay, so just like in 15 isotope, here the Vicia faba bean root tip cells were grown for one generation in a medium containing H3 thymidine, which is tritated thymidine. And then these root tips were allowed to transfer to a H3 free medium, where they were allowed to re-enter another round of cell division. But we will not do the complete cell division, otherwise we will not get the result. So we add a chemical called colchicine, which will disrupt the spindle fibers of the cell, of the centrosome, and thus we can able to see the chromosome. Okay, to prevent the anaphase separation of the sister chromatids, we add colchicine. Now the cells were allowed to examine under light microscopy and also in photographic film in autoradiographic plate, and the sister chromatids of each chromosome were found to contain equal amount of radioactive level. That means it will seen that equal number of exposure grains were seen in the chromatid. Look at see the figure. So in the figure you can see, I hope you can able to see. So this is the duplication with label thymidine. Label thymidine means H3 thymidine. Then first metaphase after labeling. Then when they were allowed to when they were um, allowed to provide that root tip allowed to provide that root tip into the medium containing H3 free medium, which is not uh, radioactive, which is not isotope of that nitrogen of hydrogen. They were allowed to enter another round of cell division, but at the just before anaphase we add colchicine to the medium to prevent anaphase separation of the sister chromatids. And thus you can see in the autoradiographic plate half of the each chromosome in the second cycle of duplication in the unlabeled medium. In each chromosome one of the two chromatids were found to be labeled and another pair of chromatids is unlabeled. So this proves that this is a semi-conservative mode of replication that is occurring. Okay. So when cells are allowed to duplicate the chromosomes and re-enter round of mitosis in unlabeled medium, the label was found in only one of the two chromatids comprising the metaphase chromosome. Sister chromatids are not distinguishable by autoradiography during the second metaphase because um, it is mainly composed of fully unlabeled nucleotides. That's why we cannot observe in autoradiography in the second round of replication, second round of cell division or metaphase, that is metaphase 2. These observations consistent with the semi-conservative model of chromosome replication. So this was all about the model and structure of semi-conservative nature of replication. I hope you have understood this part. I will provide you the notes just after this video lecture. Okay.